Breaking news! If you received an invite to a Canadian medical school this year, you're going to get in, and I'm going to show you how. 2 years ago, I interviewed at 5 of the top medical schools in Canada and got into all 5 of those schools. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I prepared for those interviews. So just sit back, relax, don't worry about taking any notes. I'll include that in the community tab. Just listen, because you're going to want to pay attention to how I got into these medical schools. You're going to get in too. I could tell. Hi, so my name is Tracy and welcome to RN Tracy to MD. And I am somebody who was a registered nurse, or I still am registered. And I'm currently in my 2nd year of medical school. And so I just wanted to make this video just because getting into a Canadian medical school is super competitive. And the reason for that is just because we have a lot less seats than there is interest. So just last year, according to the AFMC, about 14,000 students applied to medical school here in Canada, and we only have 3,000 seats. So you can see why it can be really competitive, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get in, and it doesn't mean that if you don't get in, you're not meant to be a doctor. If you've already gotten an interview so far, give yourself a round of applause, because that is clearly a huge accomplishment that we don't get to celebrate right away, because we're already on the way to preparing for the next step, right? But I just wanted to acknowledge that that is something that's huge, and congratulations. And if you didn't, again, it doesn't mean that you're not meant to be a doctor, and I hope that you have the resilience to continue applying. Just because most people apply multiple times before they're able to get an interview, and let alone get in. I just feel that I was very fortunate, but to be honest, even when I asked my colleagues, none of us really know why we got in. And so even in these videos, if I'm sharing some tips with you, they're not secrets that will guarantee you to get into med school. These are just things that I learned along the way, and I was fortunate enough to have other people share with me who have already gotten in. But I can't guarantee that you're going to get into med school with these tips. I'm just hoping to do my part and help out. So let's go ahead and get started with the interview tips. So before I get to the tips that I've learned along the way, I wanted you to hear from a couple other colleagues at my school. So what is one thing you wish you knew before doing med school interviews?
I think one thing that I wish I knew was that how you say your interview answers and your delivery matters just as much, if not even more, than what you say. So just really work on trying to organize your answers, making sure that at the beginning you kind of preface what you're about to say, kind of have a thesis, and then you go into the body of your answer and work on summarizing everything well and connecting it to medicine. So I think that's one piece, but also try to remember that the interview is assessing who you are and how you think, as opposed to what you know. So I think I spent a lot of time trying to memorize facts and details about current events and things like that, which are important. Like, you should be aware of what's going on in the world, but at the same time, just kind of remember it's about you and not about what you know. So focus on organizing those answers.
I would say the moment you get your interview invite, just start practicing a lot. The way I did it was that I would, look for possibly what I thought would be good interview questions that they might ask, and then I would just record myself answering them. I would give myself 5 minutes or however long I would be given on the actual interview, and then I would just record myself, send it to people who I thought might be able to give me some feedback, and then just improve based on their feedback.
I wish that I knew to practice talking to myself. I did a lot of practice with other people, but a lot of the real interviews, you're just staring at a blank screen. You're not seeing someone on the other end because they're asynchronous. So practice talking to yourself, talking to a blank wall, and recording yourself and watching it back.
Wonderful, thank you. Wow, that all sounds like some great advice, and I'd echo basically everything that they said there, and I'm going to echo it throughout this video as well. And another group of people that I just wanted to give a big shout out to is the Med Boys. And they're another YouTube channel that I will link down below. And I watched them when I was preparing for med school for different aspects. So they do have interviews, they have other things as well. So I would definitely check out their channel if you are preparing to go to med school. Okay, now back to our tips. So to go ahead and get started, just about how these videos are going to be broken down. So I do want this to be a couple different videos, so it should be a series, just because I don't think people want to watch, a 1 hour long video. So I think it'll be easier if I just break it down into the main components. So the first video should be focusing on just a general overview of things that you should be doing before you even start preparing for the specific question types. So I'll just go over briefly the things that you should be doing to basically prepare for the preparation of interviews. And then in the second video, I'll detail how to answer like the 4 main types of questions that you're going to get at Canadian medical schools. So the reason, again, that this video is important is because there's not enough Canadian content specific to Canadian students preparing for medical school. And our questions are a little bit different from American medical schools, and the way that they're asked and assessed is also a little bit different. So I definitely think you should listen to this if you are a Canadian medical student. And so I'll go over ethical dilemmas. That's just one type of MMI question. I'll also go over personal questions, so using the STAR-L method. I'll go over big questions, and then I'll also go over how to do policy questions. So that'll all be in one video. So I'll go over, structures that you should be using to tackle these questions. And then I'll actually show you how I would answer some of these questions myself. So my expectation is, of course, you'll be watching the video to find out a structure that you can use to answer the question. And before you see how I answer the questions, I would look at the question that I provide and try to answer it for yourself. So pause the video and try to answer it for yourself before you come back and see how I would answer it. And just because you don't answer it the way I do, it doesn't mean that your way is incorrect. I'm just going to show you how I would also answer the same questions. And then a third video, I would like to include just logistics, just because going into this can be super nerve-wracking, and just having an idea of what to expect when you're going into these interviews is really important. Some interviews, for the most part, are going to be virtual. After COVID, I think everything went virtual, but there are still some in-person interviews. So I'll show you how to do some MMI style questions, or I guess I'll go over the fact that there are MMI style questions versus traditional style questions and what those different types of interviews look like. But I will still stick to the 4 type of interview questions that I've already mentioned. So that is basically all the videos that I'm going to be having. And if you have any other questions that I didn't answer in these videos, always feel free to leave a comment down below so that I can address that maybe in a future video or in the comments.